Welcome back to the Cap Report. In this video, we're going to go over just what the UFC has in store for us this summer. I was talking to one of my friends. I wasn't sure what to do as my next video, and I was looking at just at the cards that they have lined up for this summer between the Fight Night cards and the numbered cards, and there's a lot of good stuff this summer for the UFC. Starting off, this video is on June 18th, so there's a Fight Night card tonight. I'm going to go over that and maybe just some quick predictions. First off tonight, we have Keator versus Josh Emmett as a Fight Night, which is, I feel like, a pretty solid main event. This should be a great stand and bang kind of fight. Keator's coming off a big win over Giga Chikadze. I can never say that man's last name. And Josh Emmett's coming off with 3 wins, with wins over Shane Burgos and Michael Johnson. Josh Emmett has a knockdown in every fight he's been in. He's got big knockout power. It could finish the fight at any time between these two, but Keator's a better boxer of the two and should be able to pick up the win through volume. I could see maybe Emmett getting a late knockdown, like 4th round knockdown, but Keator still winning like a solid like 49-46 kind of fight. In the co-main, we actually have, this is an interesting one. It's been rescheduled a few times. Joe Lauzon versus Donald Cerrone. I think it's a cool throwback fight. I like seeing these kind of old school fighters fighting each other. Guys from the older areas fighting each other, as opposed to kind of being fodder for up-and-comers and, treated as gatekeepers at times. Kind of like how the Diaz-Lawler fight, kind of like that. I think those fights are kind of cool. It was actually originally scheduled for UFC 274, but I think it was Cerrone got sick and they had to push it back. I can see this being a pretty even fight. It's interesting because I don't think Lauzon's fought since like 2016. Cerrone's on a pretty rough losing streak. He's taking probably more damage, and because of that, I'll lean Lauzon. I'll go Lauzon with the finish at TKO. We'll say round 3. And then also you got Kevin Holland and Joaquin Buckley on this card as well. Those guys are both a little divisive, but they're always fun to watch. Holland continuing his welterweight journey. Looking at next week, June 25th, is another great week for up-and-comers. In the main event, we see a ranked matchup in the lightweight division between 11 Arman Tsarukyan and 12 Mateusz Gamrot. These guys have a combined record of 38-3, which is kind of crazy. Tsarukyan's a championship level kind of potential guy, and this is probably his biggest step up in competition so far, which is going to be a theme in a lot of these fights that we're looking over. But this is another one that should be a really solid main event that people probably will sleep on a little bit. But Tsarukyan's a guy to watch out for. I think his only loss is to Islam Makhachev. Everyone else he's beaten pretty handily. Just below that on the card, we have in the welterweight division another up-and-comer prospect, Shavkat Rakhmonov, number 15, taking a big jump in competition as well, going up against number 10 Neil Magny. I believe Shavkat made his debut against Cowboy Oliveira, which kind of shows, and he won that fight. He hasn't lost a UFC fight yet, which kind of, I feel like, shows the level that he's already at. He's another guy who has future, kind of championship level potential, and I think that Shavkat Rakhmonov will eventually be the welterweight champion of the world. Even further down on that card, in the bantamweight division, we got Umar Nurmagomedov as well on this card. Once you go beyond that, July 2nd, you have UFC 276, which is a really good card. When you start looking down, even like as far as the prelims, UFC 276 features middleweight champion Israel Adesanya defending his title against Jared Cannonier. This is an interesting threat to Israel Adesanya. Jared Cannonier is the type of guy who, he just holds so much power that when he gets into the pocket, he's going to hold a big threat to Izzy. That being said, Adesanya is so good at countering, especially within the pocket. If you look at what he did to Whitaker in their first fight, I think this is a fight that we could finally see Adesanya back to finishing somebody. Hopefully. Alternatively, you might just get, him sitting on the edge and a lot of leg kicks, but I think that there's a good shot that we could get a finish in this fight. Beyond that, in the same card, we have the highly anticipated trilogy fight between Alexander Volkanovsky and Max Holloway as the co-main of this card. That's a big one. I'm really excited for that one, and I think we'll have kind of pretty big effect on what happens for the rest of the division, depending on who wins this fight. If Holloway wins, you could see the guys matched up again. This could really be a Brandon Moreno, Davison Figueiredo kind of situation. Moving down in that card, you can tell the UFC is already trying to build a trilogy fight between Adesanya and Alex Pereira. Granted, they haven't fought before in MMA, but they fought twice in boxing, the history being that one of the only guys to beat Adesanya, I think the only guy to knock him out. It's a pretty big step up in competition for Alex Pereira as he takes on 4th ranked Sean Strickland. That being said, Strickland's probably the easiest of the top 5 at middleweight for him to step up and take on. You can see he's trying to get fast track to the title. Next up on this card, you have number 3 Lauren Murphy taking on Misha Tate in Misha Tate's debut in the flyweight division. I don't think this fight was too notable, but I guess that actually does make it kind of notable to Misha Tate moving down, I believe, in weight. And it'll be interesting to see how she performs in the new division. Murphy is not an easy opponent to make your debut against in the flyweight division. And then to open the card, we have bantamweight division, 13th ranked Sean O'Malley taking on number 10 Pedro Munoz. Probably the biggest step up in competition for O'Malley as well in his career. I guess you could say Chito Vera maybe, but I think Chito Vera is at a very different level now than he was when he fought O'Malley. Munoz hasn't been on a great run. He's lost, a couple fights straight now, and he's kind of starting to hit that danger zone in that respect, and they definitely can see UFC trying to just build O'Malley's name off of Munoz, who's been struggling. The prelims are pretty solid too. You got Brad Riddell versus Jalen Turner, Robbie Lawler's on there, Macy Barber versus Jessica Ai, and even into the early prelims we got Uriah Hall on there and Jim Miller versus Bobby Green, which should be super fun fight. Honestly, I feel like Jim Miller versus Bobby Green, you could even throw on the main card. I wouldn't even have an issue with it there. But, I think that's maybe trying to get more eyes early on in the card. After that, July 9th, we have the battle of the Rafaels as Rafael Dos Anjos takes on Rafael Fiziev. It's another fight that's been rescheduled a few times. That's one I'm really excited for. I'm really excited to see Fiziev move up in competition. And I think Dos Anjos is a great guy for him to fight, just because I think it will be a good fight. You know what I mean? I don't think it necessarily favors either guy a ton. Beyond that, a week later, July 16th, we have Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez. Another really fun fight. July 23rd, I believe, is the UFC's return to London. You'll see Curtis Blades versus Tom Aspinall. This card in general has got some pretty big names. You got Jack Hermanson versus Darren Till. Hoping Darren Till can kind of get back on track in his career. Muhammad Mokaev, massive prospect on the card to watch. Nikita Krylov versus Alexander Gustafsson. Granted, Gustafsson isn't what he used to be, but I thought it was still a name worth shouting out. Paddy Pimblett's return. Granted, I'm not a big Paddy Pimblett guy. I think that he's one of those guys that the higher they go in their competition, they're gonna get exposed eventually. Following that, a week later is UFC 277 on July 30th, which is a rematch of Juliana Pena versus Amanda Nunes for the women's bantamweight belt. That one I'm also really intrigued to see. I kind of wonder with Amanda Nunes in that first fight. I mean, she gassed out. Was that one of those they've been champion for so long that you kind of just get caught off guard, or is Juliana Pena defend the title and kind of put herself as kind of a new face to be reckoned with? Brandon Moreno versus Kai Kara France for the men's interim flyweight title is on this card. It's gonna be a banger fight. I'm so excited for that fight. This might be the fight I'm looking forward to most out of anything coming up. Granted, I don't think it really needs to be a interim belt. I don't think Figueiredo's hurt for that long, but in my opinion, I think what they're trying to do is be able to make Figueiredo Moreno 4 and have it as a belt versus belt kind of fight, interim belt versus regular belt, build up the stakes for that fight and kind of make it as big as they possibly can. Paula Costa versus Luke Rockhold kind of cracks me up. I think Luke Rockhold's gonna, glass cannon. That man's not gonna, we're looking forward to another clip of Luke Rockhold getting knocked out. Magomed Ankalaev versus Anthony Smith, I feel like is gonna be a slept on fight as well. I think that will have some really kind of important ripple effects and repercussions for the light heavyweight division as well. And then the week after that, in August 6th, we have Thiago Santos versus Jamal Hill, and then UFC 278 is slated for August 20th. I think the only fight so far on that card is supposed to be Kamaru Usman versus Leon Edwards defending his belt. The rematch, but they haven't fought when he was a champion. And even after that, this one's, I don't know, I won't say this one's summer anymore once you get into September, but even into September, the farthest, I can find fights right now. We've got Cyril Gane versus Tai Tuivasa, which I think is a really fun fight, and Robert Whittaker versus Marvin Vettori on that same card. That I just wanted to kind of go over what UFC has in store for us this summer, and I think it's really good. There's a lot of fun stuff to look forward to. I think it's interesting because, there was a lot of talk beforehand of weaker cards, especially in the fight nights. I think some people even talked down 275, which ended up being an amazing card. Probably lived up beyond the hype. Yeah, let me know what fights are y'all most looking forward to. As I said, I just wanted to get something out, and when I noticed kind of just what we're in store for, I just wanted to point out, like, there's a lot of good fights on the horizon, a lot of up-and-comers to watch. I'm gonna try and start pumping out, at least a video a week. I'm hoping to get multiple out a week. But yeah, go ahead, leave a like, comment, all that kind of stuff. Subscribe if you haven't. This has been the Cap Report. So have a good one, guys.